Hi there, my name is Kendall Cruz, and I will be talking to you today about the Armenian Genocide. The term genocide refers to the deliberate killing of a large group of people, generally a specific nation or ethnic group. When you hear genocide, most people immediately refer to the Holocaust of the Jews during World War II. However, there was another genocide that occurred first in the 20th century. In 1915, the Turkish government began arresting, deporting, and executing mass amounts of ethnic and religious minorities living in the region. Though often referred to as the Armenian Genocide, there were multiple other ethnic groups such as Christians, Assyrians, Syrians, Chaldeans, and Greeks that faced tremendous persecution and execution at the hand of the Turkish government. The tension between Christian and Muslims in the region can be traced back thousands of years to biblical times. Assyrians trace their roots in Asia Minor all the way back to ancient Mesopotamia. The Assyrian Empire dominated the entire region for 1800 years before collapsing to the Persians in 612 BC. Ironically, Assyrians became the earliest converts to Christianity in the region, aside from the Jews. Assyrian missionaries flourished and spread from the Mediterranean Sea all the way to the Pacific Ocean. Assyrians again built up a new empire that lasted until 630 AD, when Arab Muslims swept through the region and conquered every Christian empire standing at the time. Fast forward 6,500 years to 1908, and the controversies are still prevalent. In 1908, the long-standing Ottoman Empire fell to the Young Turks. Although the Ottoman Empire's religion was Islam, they were tolerant of Christians living in the area as long as they kept to themselves and did not attempt to proselytize the Ottomans. However, immediately following the change of power from the Ottoman Empire to the Young Turks felt the need to Turkify the region. The Young Turks also practiced Islam, but took on a more extremist approach, looking to exterminate all cultural and religious minorities. Young children living in the region controlled by the Young Turks were often taken into orphanages and given new names and taught a new language. If families trying to migrate out of the region had young children, boys in particular, and refused to cooperate in leaving their children behind to be Turkified, an order to kill the boys would be sent out. Frequently, boys would be put in dresses and said to be girls in order to avoid being killed by the Turkish authorities. Following the next few years after gaining more secure control of the region in 1915, the Young Turks began to claim that Armenians and other Christian groups in the area were rebelling and defying authorities. The peak of this conflict occurred in spring of 1915, and on April 24, 1915, Young Turks began going out, arresting and executing intellectuals, politicians, journalists, anti-government groups in the Istanbul region. Approximately a month later in May, an order was given to deport Armenians, Assyrians, and other groups to East Anatolia, which is modern-day Turkey, Aleppo, which is modern-day Syria, and Mosul, which is modern-day Iraq. Although the government claims the minorities were uprising and fueling rebellions, Tatar David, one of two survivors from his Assyrian family, clearly recounts the Turkish Prime Minister directly ordering the execution of all Christians. There were approximately 1.9 million members of the minority class living in the Ottoman Empire on the eve of World War I. Based on records kept by the Armenian Church, Turkish authorities deported 1.69 million in 1915 alone. Of the 1.69 million, 880,000 arrived in Syria that fall, meaning approximately 800,000 were liquidated in the first wave of deportation. The unaccounted for remaining 300,000 fled or were not deported. However, after being held in Syria for a year, Prime Minister Talat Pasha gave a second order to further drive the minorities eastward towards modern-day Iraq. Over the span of 1916 and 1917, the group of deports were sent to Deir el-Zor, located in the middle of the Syrian desert. Again, of the 880,000 deported from Syria to Deir el-Zor, only 6,800 survived. Well over 1 million people have been killed in what is now known to be death marches for the Armenians, Assyrians, and others. Of the 1 million killed, more than 500,000 were Assyrians. Although the mass killings of these people is referred to as the Armenian Genocide, there were other minorities that faced substantial loss, and in other cases, near extermination, affected by the change of power from the Ottoman Empire to the Young Turks. Though a large sum of the murdered people were Armenian, there were significant amounts of other people groups largely impacted by this event as well. Ultimately, a term used by historians that is more universally accepted is the Genocide of 1915.